Battlefield 5 just dropped the update that introduces Firestorm, which, if you don't know, is their take on Battle Royale. Now, I was interested to see how well optimized this new game mode was, so I decided to test 4 different graphics cards from the old GTX 970 to the RTX 2060. Let's have a look at it. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Robin, and on this channel we look at games, hardware and gaming peripherals. In this video, however, we're gonna be focusing on Firestorm, which is Battlefield 5 mechanics in the Battle Royale playstyle. It's the same idea we've seen plenty of times before, but this time we got added vehicles, lots of collapsing buildings and explosions, which essentially puts a lot more stress on your hardware components than what other BR games such as Fortnite, for example, does. That being said, BF5 seems very polished and optimized as it is in its current state, and so for the most part the game looks and runs very well, even on older and more budget-friendly hardware. Now, unlike other videos on YouTube where you typically see beefy systems with tons of cores and a lot of RAM being tested in this game, we got a cheap Ryzen 2400G instead and 8 gigs of RAM to create a more normal scenario, I guess. But for more in-depth details what components I'm using, have a look down in the description. We got 4 cards with us today: the GTX 970, a 1060 6GB card, a 1660 Ti and a 2060. I've been using the latest NVIDIA driver, which is the 416.63, I believe, which was released by NVIDIA just before this big update. Now, since I don't have any AMD cards with us to test with right now, I will be looking at similar benchmarks online to give you guys an idea what to expect with similar cards from the red team as well. So I've been running the tests in medium and ultra graphics at 1080p and in 4K, at medium graphics at 1080p with VSync and pre-rendered frames inactivated. The old GTX 970 manages to average almost 80 frames per second with 100% GPU loads at all times and around 3200 VRAM being allocated. And as for the rest of the cards, well, unfortunately, if we take a look at the lows here, the CPU seems to be bottlenecking a bit here. Fortunately, it is not the end of the world, as if you're sitting on a semi-high-end card like the 1060 or the 1660, you probably won't play at medium graphics regardless, but it shows the importance of a fast CPU in a hardware-hungry game like Battlefield 5. Now, stepping up to 1080p Ultra, every card except the 970 delivered a smooth, acceptable experience, even the 1060 with an average of just below 60 frames per second. Now, we know that NVIDIA cards typically scales a bit better in DirectX 11, and so I decided to run the test in DX11 as well to see if there were any noticeable differences here. Now, oddly enough, the 970 performed a lot worse in Firestorm in DX11, and with GPU usage around just 60% and CPU peaking at 100%, something seemed to be broken here, but I'm not entirely sure what's going on. So as it is right now, as for this system at least, DX12 offers the best experience as it seems, even on older graphics cards, and I was quite honestly surprised how well the 1660 Ti ran with an average frame rate of almost 30 FPS more than the older brother, the GTX 1060. At 4K medium graphics, it's more like a slideshow than actual gameplay experience on the GTX 970. VRAM limitation seems to be an issue here as well, as the game uses up every bits and pieces of what's available on the 970, and judging from running the tests on the GTX 1060 with 2GB extra video memory, it seems like the game prefers at least 5 to 5.5 GB of video memory at these settings. Now, it should be said that it isn't still unclear whether the game is actually using every single megabyte of it, or if some of it is just allocated memory and reserved memory by the game, but it seems like 6GB is a sweet spot, and so that is essentially what I recommend if you're planning on playing Firestorm beyond 1080p resolution. Now, for anything above medium, 6GB should be enough in many cases. Now, if you want to max out at 4K, I would highly recommend 8GB here instead, because judging from my experience with DXR activated so far, at 1080p with the RTX 2060, I was literally maxing out, but we might have to cover this on a deeper level on another video. All in all, my initial thoughts so far of the game is that it runs very smoothly in general. I haven't encountered any bugs or weird glitches. The game mode seems very polished so far. Sound and graphics is through the roof in this game. It looks and behaves a lot like a simulator, and everything from shadows, footsteps to birds and explosions looks and feels so real in so many ways. Now, I did try ray tracing out, and although it does make the experience even more realistic, the performance hit you take here is in many cases not worth it in my opinion, at least not in multiplayer where input lag and frame rate is crucial. Still, if you have a faster graphics card than the RTX 2060, it might be worth activating, but maybe not for this specific build. Anyway, I would love to hear your guys' opinion as well. What's your thoughts so far? Now, I'm gonna be back with a brand new video in just a day or two. Have an awesome day, alright?